Hello folks, this is Krishnendu. Welcome back to my channel. Today, yes, we are doing a motorcycle review. This is the Yamaha MT09. Boy, I'm sitting on a motorcycle after 3.5 months. Let's rock this. If you've been following my vlogs, I bought this wonderful machine in the month of May. And the reason why I bought it, well, there are multiple reasons, but today I'm doing a quick review of whether this bike has been really worth it. And you know what's the good point about this review? Is that I bought the motorcycle, and the review I can say what I feel like. I don't have to just extol the bikes to its best non-existent virtues. So I can talk about the negatives, I can say what I feel like. This is my bike. So here's an honest to goodness, down to earth review. I'm in this beautiful park called the Pennypack Trail in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So I bought this bike in the United States, and the primary reason why I bought this bike is because it perfectly suited my budget. Now this was under 10K, $10,000. Indian price 10.5 lakhs ex showroom, so I guess on road it will be close to 12 lakhs. So that's a very good price for a machine like this. I would go on to say that this is one of the most underrated, undervalued motorcycles that exist today. You see, the MT09 was initially called the Z09. There are certain differences on this motorcycle compared to what is available in India and Europe. I will probably show you those small little differences which are there. But essentially, this is a triple 847cc. MT stands for Master of Torque. So in the MT, this is underrated because it falls under the shadow of the MT10, which is the 1000cc cross-plane crankshaft, and which is why it falls under the shadow, because that's an extraordinary motorcycle. But so is this one. And in the MT series, you have the lower sibling, which is the MT07, which in itself is a great motorcycle. But somehow, again, it looks subjective, but somehow I did not want to go for the MT07. This one, of course, looks are subjective, as I just said, but for me, this is a looker. There are opinions which say that this is fugly and so on and so forth. I really love this motorcycle. I bought it from Derek at Crossroad Power Sports. You probably know Derek in Crossroad Power Sports by now.
Crossroad Power Sports.
You can check my vlogs to see that. It is a triple, and it sounds like a typical triple, but you know what, when I was riding it and my son was sitting behind me as pillion, he said it sounds like a typical Yamaha. And then I reflected, yes it does, because when I used to ride the R1, there's this, you know, this raw feeling to it, and you get that organic. Of course, motorcycles, internal combustion engines are pretty organic because you have this connect with the motorcycle, which is probably will go out of fashion maybe in a decade or so, but as long as it's there, let's enjoy it. And this triple, of course, all triples are uneven firing orders, so they are all cross-plane crankshafts. You cannot have even firing orders in triples. In twins, yes, I mean not even in twins, but yeah, that's alternate. So you cannot, it is a false cross-plane crankshaft. We can argue on that, but this is not a real cross-plane crankshaft like a 4-cylinder. Okay, now talking about its 115 bhp with 88 Nm of torque, and all this torque is driving a wet weight of just 188 kilos. That's phenomenal, which is why it's a master of torque. When you're actually opening the throttle on full power, it has got 3 power modes. When you're opening the throttle on full power, you get the surge right from 2000 RPM, and that's, let me tell you, it's not easy to handle if you're a beginner. It is definitely not a beginner's motorcycle. You have been riding for a few years, you know what riding is all about, and you want to have good fun, you go for this, because it can really effortlessly on every gear if you put down the traction control. Let me show you what it feels like, what it looks like when I sit on it, because it is not a high motorcycle, but it's not a low motorcycle either. I'm flat footing on one side and almost flat footing on the other side. I'm 5'6" 166 centimeters, and that's how I sit on this bike. And this is the riding stance. It's pretty upright, comfortable, as if you're riding a Pulsar 220 or a Charisma. And well, one of the negatives, let me talk about one of the negatives right now. It doesn't have a visor, it doesn't have a windshield. So when I'm doing really fast speeds, like, you know, with 115 bhp, 88 Nm of torque, and you are redlining at something like 10,500, 11,000 RPM, when you can actually blast down the highway at 220 kilometers an hour effortlessly. But you really have to crouch, and you can feel the wind really hitting against your chest, which is rather uncomfortable. Beyond 120, 130 kilometers an hour, it's not comfortable not having a visor, but you do have aftermarket original equipment manufacturer Yamaha visors as well available for this MT09. Talking about riding modes and traction control, let me show you. Now if you can see, we have mode A here, that's the riding mode, and then you also have TCS, that's the traction control, at 1. There are 3 riding modes. The riding mode is controlled from the right grip here. You have the mode here, that's the mode button. Pressing this, you change the riding modes. That's B, and that's standard. Back to A. Now in B, you have 70% cutting off power. In standard, you have full power, but you get the torque at a much later RPM, around 4,000, which is pretty manageable. And this is A, and you get the power right, the torque right from here all the way. Pretty linear, but this is pretty aggressive when you're riding on A mode. Whereas the traction control is on the other side over here. Now this is how you toggle your traction control. That's 2, that's 1, and that's 2. 2 is the more intrusive, and you won't be doing much of wheelies, and if you want to do a little bit of wheelies, then you just go to 1. What other features do you have? You have the time here. This is trip 2. That's the temperature. That's the ambient temperature. That's the distance that I've done, 2,274 kilometers. By the way, you can also shift to miles by pressing this button. Kept it pressed, and you're on miles. Keep it again pressed for 3 seconds, back to kilometers. Trip 1 and trip 2. Now let me show you, give you a little bit of the notes. Another negative of the motorcycle is that, well, it's well designed. The engine is a stressed member, but it is not, according to me, it is not an outstanding handler. I was used to my Duke 390, which is an amazing handler. This one feels a little nervous in handling because of when I'm opening out the throttle on Pennsylvania roads, which are not the best roads in the world. I do feel my rear not aligning with the front the way I would feel that should inspire confidence. We are using battle axe tires on these. They warm up pretty well. They're pretty decent, grips the road well. I don't think it's because of the tires. I think it's because of the entire riding geometry. But that does not take away from the fun factor at all. If you go on track, you can totally go on track and thrash it out. That's the way this bike is. No, it's not designed for track. Let's put it this way. It's a great naked street motorcycle. It's not a track bike. If you want to take it on track, you can. It is perfectly capable. But you don't get clip-ons. Of course, you get USD forks and completely adjustable front forks. According to your needs, you have rebound and compression, which you can adjust from here. So barring these two negatives, I really don't see anything why one shouldn't go for this motorcycle unless you are a beginner. So overall, for the price, for the performance that you get, this is a fantastic buy, and I'm having so much fun on this motorcycle. I'll commute. Now this is going to be one of my last reviews, and we could do it today because it's a great, beautiful day. It was snowing yesterday, but today it's nice and warm. It's about 9 degrees Celsius, and got out here today. So I decided to do this review before it gets too cold when I put it in the garage and it stays there for the winter. If you have any questions regarding the price, the insurance, the amount of insurance that I'm paying here, please put them down in the comments. If you think that I missed out some important elements that I should have talked about the bike, do not hesitate. Go ahead and write down in the comments, and I'll definitely come and reply to each and every comment of yours. So with that, I'd conclude saying that this is, looks wise, is subjective. I find the front end fantastic looking, the rear end not so good. It's a great, amazing street naked, great value for money. Oh yes, most importantly, kitna deti hai? So this does, on full power, I get around 18 to 19 kilometers to a liter, and when I cut down my power to mode B, then I get about 21 kilometers to a liter. So yeah, if you have any questions, mark them down. So long folks, see you in the next one. That's right.